Welcome to the PJ Hoop Podcast. I'm your host, PJ, and if this is your very first time checking out my podcast, first and foremost, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to check out my podcast. I promise you won't be disappointed. This is a basketball podcast, so on my podcast, I predominantly go over the NBA, but I also like to cover high school, college, and international basketball. Today's date is Wednesday, December 10th, 2025. It's about 4 p.m., so anything that happens after 4 o'clock today and for the rest of the week will not be featured in on this podcast. Understand that I try to keep my podcast episodes between 25 and 35 minutes, so there's going to be things that I may not hint on in this episode that I am more than willing to talk to you about, so don't be afraid to comment on any of my shorts or even just down below, and we can talk more about anything I don't talk about in this pod, because there's a lot of stuff I can talk about, but I just try to be respectful of you guys' time and of my time. Now, in my podcast, there's 4 topics/segments that I like to go over week in and week out. The first being a segment I like to call PJ's Echelon. Now, in PJ's Echelon, essentially, it's just my power rankings. I'll give you guys more details to that here shortly because that's going to be our very first segment. Another segment that I like to go over is a segment I like to call What's New. Now, in What's New, I'm giving you some type of NBA news, or it could be some type of NBA historical history, or it could just be me ranting. Today, I'm going to give you guys kind of a combination of just some NBA history that was made / some news. And then another segment I like to go over is a segment I like to call Games of the Week. Now, in Games of the Week, I'm going to talk about some type of NBA or college basketball game that has some type of significance, or it could just be a game I really enjoyed watching. Today, we're going to talk about the NBA Cup and then also look forward to some games that are coming up this week in the NBA and in college. Last segment that I go over is a segment I like to call In the Lab. Now, in the Lab, I'm talking about today's NBA rookies, or I'm talking about high school, college, or international basketball. Today, we're going to check in on some of our college freshmen and see how they're doing thus far this season, right before, because conference play is getting ready to start in that as well, okay? So we're going to get straight to it. I don't want to waste any more of you guys' time. The first segment that I want to talk to you guys about is a segment I like to call PJ's Echelon. Now, in PJ's Echelon, essentially, is just my power rankings. Understand that this is a progressive list because I am a progressive man. I'm not a perfect man. And I want to give you guys the parameters that I like to use week in, week out. The first being the team's strength of schedule, eye test, statistically where the team sits, and then also the team's record. Next week, we will not be doing a power rankings. Next week, we actually will be checking in on our championship bubble. I did one in the preseason, so we'll kind of review what I did in the preseason, and then we will revise it because we're about 30% done with the season. So I kind of want to, go back in there and maybe revise or move some teams around and kind of just update you guys on what I'm thinking so far within that, okay? So let's dive straight into it. Again, today is Wednesday, December 10th, 2025. It's about 4 p.m. And my number one team this week on my power rankings is none other than the 23-1 Oklahoma City Thunder. Oklahoma right now, they're 5th in offensive rating, they're 1st in defensive rating, and they're 1st in net rating. They're on a 15-game winning streak, 16-0 in games decided by 10 points or more. I mean, this team, I know people are frustrated and, they believe that, a certain player, Shea in particular, they don't really like how Shea's playing and foul baiting. I'm just appreciating what I'm watching, truth be told. That's just me. I'm appreciating what I'm watching. Shea actually just tied all-time record with Giannis for the most 30-point games in under 30 minutes in NBA history. It took Giannis 63 games to reach that feat. It only took Shea 23 games. And obviously pace plays a factor, so, take that how you want to take it. Obviously, I know pace plays a factor in obviously him achieving this, but also I think it just speaks to Shea's efficiency and then also his killer mentality when he gets on the court. So I just wanted to give him some love because he just did that a couple days ago. Number 2, this team is 17-6. And that is the Denver Nuggets. Denver right now, they're 1st in offensive rating. They're 18th in defensive rating. And they're 3rd in net rating. I like keeping them at 2 because to me, they just keep finding ways to win. They're still missing 2 of their starters. Jamal Murray is looking like for sure an all-star. He's having a career year, so I'm going to give him some love. They're 8-2 against teams above 500. They got the second best record against teams above 500, just right behind OKC. They host Houston on Monday night. That is the Denver Nuggets at 2. Number 3, this team is 19-5, and that is the Detroit Pistons. Detroit right now, they're 9th in offensive rating, they're 4th in defensive rating, and they're 6th in net rating. They had 4 games in 6 nights, and they went 3-1 last week during that stretch, so that's why I kept them at 3. They're 8-3 against teams above 500. They have the 6th easiest remaining schedule, and there's about 58 games left on their schedule. They're slightly starting to cool down a little bit. They kind of slipped a little bit in their defensive rating and also their net rating, but I still really like what I'm seeing from Detroit. We'll see if they end up making a move. Number 4. This team is 15-6, and that is the Houston Rockets. Houston right now, they're 4th in offensive rating, they're 2nd in defensive rating, and they're 2nd in net rating. I'm not holding their loss to Dallas over them because Dallas played pretty solid as of late and seems like they're finding somewhat of a little bit of rhythm. Plus, it was a second night of a back-to-back, and there was no Şengün either. Tari Eason should be back about probably towards the end of this month is what I'm assuming, and from what I read is what I'm expecting. So they'll have him coming back, which I think will. I mean, this team is already rolling, but just that added juice and what Tari Eason really brings is going to be very much value when he returns. They're second. They average the second best catch and shoot field goal percentage in the NBA at 41%. Number 5, this team is 17-6, and that is the Los Angeles Lakers. LA right now, they're 6th in offensive efficiency. They're 6th in offensive rating. Sorry. They're 21st in defensive rating, and they're 13th in net rating. So I'm getting to a point where I'm just feeling like LA, I think they kind of are what they are. I don't really see much improvement being made currently how this team is constructed. I think this team is probably a top 6, top 5 offense and most likely a bottom 10 defense. I just think that's what that is. Bron, currently he's not in rhythm, but I just don't think him being in rhythm is going to help too much defensively really at this age and the way he's been playing on defense. He takes plays off, which is expected of somebody of that age. But I just think the Lakers, I think for them really to be seriously in that Denver, OKC, and Houston conversation in the West, I think the Lakers are going to have to make some type of move and hopefully get a little bit more defense on that team. But we'll see what they end up doing. They got the Spurs tonight. They got the Jazz and Clippers and Suns this week. So the Lakers, they're in a pretty good spot right now still, regardless. Number 6, this team is 17. This team is 17-7. And that is the New York Knicks. New York right now, they're 3rd in offensive rating. They're 10th in defensive rating. And they're 4th in net rating. So I told you guys last week that I believe the Knicks were on the upward trend. So I liked what I've seen out of them this week thus far. Yes, they played 2 lottery teams and they also played 2 injured teams. But I still want to give them slightly credit for winning those games. They also moved up because, some other teams slipped and some fell off. So that's also why they moved up for me. They're last in the NBA in paint touch points at 14. And that's just something I just wanted to throw at you guys. You do with it as you please. Their schedule is looking a little bit more tough closing out the year. They got the Heat, the Wolves, the Cavs, the Hawks, and the Spurs. Number 7, this team is 16-7, and that is the San Antonio Spurs. San Antonio right now, they're 7th in offensive rating. They're 16th in defensive rating. They're 9th in net rating. To me, they just continue to win without Wemby. Fox is looking very, very well. I think Wemby probably be back in the next week or so. But Fox right now is shooting a career high in three-point percentage and free throw percentage. Small sample size, only been about 15 games. He's shooting 38% from 3, 84% from the free throw line. Like I said, he's just looking really good. And I want to give some love, a shout out to Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes. He's shooting lights out right now from 3. He's shooting 43% from 3 on 5.5 attempts. And in my opinion, I think in the near future, this is for sure one of the 4 teams that could cause stress for OKC, just the way they're built. We'll see if they decide to move anybody or not. But yeah, I love what San Antonio's doing. I think for sure they're gonna need Castle or Harper to start hitting threes eventually to become legit championship contenders. But regardless, they're coming for that one of my top 5 spots in my power rankings. Once Wemby gets back is what I'm expecting out of this team. Number 8, this team is 15-10, and that is the Orlando Magic. Orlando right now, they're 11th in offensive rating, they're 5th in defensive rating, and they're 8th in net rating. I just feel bad for this team. Kind of basically a repeat of last season. Last season, Paulo gets hurt. He comes back. Franz gets hurt. Same thing happening this year. Paulo gets hurt, comes back, and now Franz is out. I feel really bad for this team. They're 9-9 against teams above 500. They got the second easiest remaining schedule, but we know that is set to probably change. I do love the sliminess that I'm seeing out of Desmond Baines. I really do. I really do like what he's bringing. He's bringing this dirty, this toughness, this real grimy feel to Orlando, and I really like it. So shout out to Desmond Baines. Keep that slime stuff going, brother. Number 9. This team is 15-9, and that is the Boston Celtics. Boston right now, they're 12th in offensive rating, they're 6th in defensive rating, and they're 10th in net rating. So they've been on a burner as of late, and I gotta give credit to Peyton Pritchard and to Derek White. Last month in November, Peyton Pritchard found his rhythm. This month, Derek White has found his rhythm. I feel comfortable now putting Boston in my top 10. I've kind of been holding it out just because I've been wanting to see more, but I feel good right now putting them at number 9 this week. I have to give some love and flowers to Mr. Jaylen Brown because Jaylen Brown's playing like a second-team All-NBA player this year, and I want to give him credit. I got to give that man credit because I did not think he was going to. I didn't think he was going to elevate to this level, right? Like, I didn't think he was going to get to that level, like the level he's playing at and the efficiency. Yeah, he's shooting horrible from 3, but from the field, the defense he's given, what he's just doing for this team night in, night out, I want to give him credit. I really, really do. He deserves his credit and he deserves his flower from me. I figured he would have a good year, but I didn't think it was going to be like this, right? Like, he's playing like a top 10 NBA player this year, and so I got to give Jaylen Brown much love, you know what I'm saying? They have the 7th easiest remaining schedule. They do got 16 games coming up in January, so I'm very interested to see how they go about dealing with that. Number 10, this team is 15-9, and that is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota right now, they're 8th in offensive rating. They're 13th in defensive rating. They're 7th in net rating. They got the 6th toughest remaining schedule. They're 2-8 against teams above 500, but they're 13-1 against teams under 500. So I put them here because, like I told you guys, there was teams that I got rid of, like Miami and Toronto. I took them completely off. Then there's teams that are dealing with injuries, and even though Minnesota hasn't really had like super impressive wins, they're still winning their games and they're trending in the right way. So I did want to reward them for that this week. And then my teams that I have on the bubble this week, I have Cleveland on the bubble this week. Hopefully we'll see if they can get their act together. Coming out of having this whole week off, they're going to basically play 6 straight lottery teams. So I do expect them to rack up some wins here. Miami and Toronto and Atlanta are the other teams that I have on my bubble. You guys let me know down in the comment section below who is your top 10 and who do you have on your bubble. The next segment that I want to talk to you guys about is a segment I like to call What's New. Now, on What's New, I'm giving you guys some type of NBA news or history that was made over this last week, or it could just be me ranting. So let's dive straight into it. Cole Anthony has 170 half-court drives with 0 fouls drawn. That's the most in the NBA. I thought that was really interesting. Second is TJ McConnell with 131. Third is Cason Wallace with 111. So I thought those things were really interesting. Another thing is that Jay Huff leads the NBA in total blocks at 59. I knew that, and I know he leads the NBA in blocks per game. I think he averaged like 2.5 a game or something like that. But the thing that I thought was interesting is that I came across he actually has 2+ blocks in 10 straight games. And then 19 of the games he has played in, he had 2 or more blocks. So I'm going to give a shout out to Jay Huff for doing his thing on a very bad Indiana team right now. So I want to give him some love. And then something that I came across I thought was really interesting as well is that more than 40 million people have tuned into watch the NBA Cup games, and that is a 90% year-over-year growth for the NBA, and that's across their platforms of Prime, NBC/Peacock, and ESPN. So again, NBA is breaking records with their viewership, and I'm happy for them, I'm happy for them. They listen to the fans. That's what I will say about the NBA. They do listen to their fans. So shout out to the league office. Something else I came across that I thought was really interesting. Former Florida State Heisman quarterback Charlie Ward is the only Heisman winner to play in the NBA. He played 10 years with the Knicks, and then he played briefly with the Spurs and the Rockets. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I thought that was just really interesting. Couple other things that's happened, and I want to give some love to some players for making a little bit of history. One being Derek Queen. Derek Queen became only the 5th player before turning 21 to drop a 30-point triple-double. He joins the likes of Luka. Luka did it 10 times. Bron done it twice. Wemby's done it once. De'Aaron Fox done it once. He joins Blake Griffin is the only other rookie to drop a 30-point triple-double on a higher field goal percentage than Derek Queen. And then Derek Queen also joins Zion and Steven Adams in franchise history as the only players to drop a 70% field goal percentage and a triple-double in franchise history in the same game. So I want to give massive love to Derek Queen for what he did. That happened on December 8th. Another thing that happened on December 8th is Ant became the only player in franchise history with multiple 40-point games on shooting 70% from the field or better. And he did that again against Phoenix. So now he's in his own class right now for that record in franchise history. Another is Cooper Flagg will probably most likely finish second in NBA history with the most 20-point games by an 18-year-old, only trailing LeBron. LeBron had 14. I think Cooper's probably going to finish with like 12 is what I'm assuming. And he's also missed a game or two. I think he missed a game or two. Another thing that I want to talk to you guys about is Jalen Johnson becomes the first Hawk to drop 15 plus points, 15 plus rebounds, and 15 plus assist stat line. And he joined Nikola Jokic as the only with the stat line of 21 points, 18 rebounds, 16 assists, 2 steals since 1970, which I think is the merger, if I remember correctly. And also, he has the most triple-doubles in Hawks history in a season. He did that on the 5th of December, so big shout-out to Jalen Johnson. I told you guys I felt like this was a year he was probably going to become an all-star, and that was my expectation for him, and he's living up to it. Shout-out to him there. Another thing is Nick Claxton joins Sean Bradley as the only Nets centers to have multiple triple-doubles in a season, so big shout-out to Nick Claxton. He did that on the 6th of December. And lastly, Con Knippel leads all rookies in 20-point games. You guys let me know down in the comment section below, what history did you come across or what news did you come across this week that you guys want to share with everybody? Let me know down in the comment section below. My next segment is a segment I like to call Games of the Week. Now, in Games of the Week, I'm giving you guys either an NBA or college game that I really enjoyed watching or a game with some type of significance. We're getting close to game of significance in college basketball because conference play is getting ready to start. And the NBA games of significance, we'll probably start picking up those probably after the All-Star weekend is when we'll probably really start ramping up those as we get closer to the playoffs. But today, I just wanted to kind of give you guys my NBA Cup predictions. And then I'll give you guys some games that I'm looking forward to this week in the NBA and in college basketball, okay? So NBA Cup predictions, we'll go really fast with these because honestly, I'm going to be real with you guys. I personally don't care for the NBA Cup. I don't care for it personally. Just like I don't care about the NBA Clutch Award. Like, I don't know. I just don't care for those things. Those things just they don't interest me at all, okay? So no disrespect to y'all out there that like this kind of stuff. But anyways, I'm going to do it anyways. We'll talk about it very briefly. I'll just give you guys my predictions. So I got the Spurs. I got the Lakers over the Spurs tonight. And then I got OKC over Phoenix tonight. I got OKC over the Lakers. I got the Knicks over the Magic. I got OKC over the Knicks in the championship game. So OKC will win the NBA Cup, okay? And now, so let's talk about games coming up this week for the NBA, and then we'll talk about college. So NBA, couple games Friday that I'm looking forward to watching. Friday, we got Hawks at Pistons. We got Jazz at Grizzlies. We got Timberwolves at Golden State. Steph might be back for that game, so that's why I put that game on here. Sunday, we get Philadelphia at the Hawks. Sunday, we get the Kings versus Minnesota. You're probably wondering why I picked that game. We get Ant versus Russell Westbrook. That's just pure intensity, right? That's why I got that there. Just watching those two go at it's going to be fun. And then we get Pistons at the Celtics on Monday. And then we get Rockets at Denver on Monday. College basketball. Thursday, we get Iowa versus Iowa State. That's a rival game. We get Bennett Sturts versus what's his name? Lipson. Lipson. I think it's Lipson versus Lipson and Killian. And Killian's a freshman, which we're going to talk about him a little bit later. But very solid backcourt in Iowa State versus Bennett Sturts. It's a battle of the backcourts. It's going to be a good game. Then we got number 9 Michigan State at Penn State, and that's on Saturday. We get Caden Mingo versus Jeremy Fears. And that's the battle of the point guards. That's on Saturday. It'll be Michigan State's first road conference game. They're going to kill Penn State because Penn State just got killed by Indiana a couple days. I think they lost by like 35 or something a couple days. They got killed. And then another game Saturday, we get number 17 Arkansas versus number 16 Texas Tech. There's some NBA prospects in that game. We get Darius Acuff versus what's his name? Christian Anderson. And then also Saturday we get number 19 Kansas at North Carolina State, which again, NBA prospects in that game for both sides. We get number 1 Arizona at number 12 Alabama on Saturday. And then Tuesday we get number 11 Louisville at number 20 Tennessee. You guys let me know down in the comment section below what games are you guys looking forward to this week and who do you think is going to win the NBA Cup. My last segment is a segment I like to call In the Lab. Now in the Lab, I'm talking about today's NBA rookies, college, high school, or international basketball. The last couple weeks we've been checking in on our NBA rookies. Today we're going to check in on some of our college freshmen, and the next week we'll check on some of our college upperclassmen. We're going to just check in some of the freshmen. I'm not going to do all of them because the episode's kind of running long anyway, so I just picked a couple to talk to you guys about. I'll give you guys their counting numbers, and I'll just briefly say something about some of them to you guys. First being none other than AJ DeBonsa, 6'9", small forward / power forward at BYU. He's averaging 20 points, 6.5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, a half a block, 2 turnovers, shooting 54% from the field, 36% from 3, and 79% from the free throw line. He just had in my opinion, his best game of the year and easily one of the top 3 best performances I've seen a freshman. One of the top 3 best freshman performances I've seen this year against Clemson. Second half against Clemson, he either scored or assisted on 34 of the team's 40 points, and he outscored the entire Clemson team in the second half. I think for me today, just strictly today, I think he's my number 1 prospect on my big board just because DP, Darren Peterson really has not played many games. So I would put AJ above DP just for right now. We'll see as conference play happens and as DP comes back from injury, see if he can reclaim the number 1 spot. But AJ for me is number 1 player on my big board. We're not going to talk about DP because he really hasn't played much this year, and also he's missed a lot of big time games. I still love DP as my number 2 prospect. My number 3 prospect is Cam Boozer. Cam Boozer is a 6'9" power forward at Duke. He's averaging 23 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.5 steals, 1 block, 1 turnover, shooting 56% from the field, 37% from 3, and 77% from the free throw line. Cameron Boozer is playing really, really great right now. I didn't know he was going to do this in college. I wasn't expecting this. I knew he would play extremely well. He's been number 3 on my big board for a little bit over a year now. For me, Cam, I told you guys this in the fall of 2024. Actually, no, I told you guys in the summer of 2024 that he was the best all-around high school player at that time. Currently, right now, like I say, he's number 3 on my big board. To me, in my personal opinion, his play style, to me, he plays and reminds me of Minnesota Kevin Love. And I'm not talking about like Apex Minnesota couple. He's averaging 20 and 20. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying early on in his Minnesota career, that's what he reminds me of. He plays like that, in my opinion, and I'm still standing by that. Another player I want to talk about is Kingston Flemings. He's a 6'4" point guard / shooting guard at Houston. He averages 16 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 turnovers, shooting 61% from the field, shooting 56% from 3, and shooting 74% from the free throw line. Kingston has burst on the scene. This kid has just burst on the scene. I did talk to you guys about him in my preseason college basketball episode, and the kid just bursted on the scene. He's playing great right now. For me, he's my number 1 point guard on my big board. And I feel good about that. Obviously, I don't expect his shooting numbers to stay like that at all. I would like to see actually his free throw percentage come up because I love the leap he gets on his jump shot. I like his form. I'm very excited to watch him in conference play, just like I'm excited to watch his teammate, Chris Sanok. Chris is a 6'11 center at Houston as well. He averages 10 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, 3 personal fouls, shooting 49% from the field, 39% from 3, 67% from the free throw line. Chris is a stretch big. I personally would like to see him assert himself even more defensively. That's what I'll be looking out for as we go into conference play for him. He's not my number one center on my big board. I would say he's for sure in my top 4 centers on my big board, but he's not number one. My number one center, we'll talk about him here pretty soon. Another player is Caleb Wilson. He's a 6'10 power forward at North Carolina, averages 19 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.5 steals, 1 block, 2 turnovers, 53% from the field, 18% from 3, and 77% from the free throw line. Caleb plays with the motor. He by far has the best motor out of all these freshmen. I mean, defensively, I love his defensive awareness, his defensive intensity. Yeah, I'm enjoying watching what I'm seeing out of him. Of course, I would like to see North Carolina run their offense through him because I want to see what else does he have in his game. But he's one of my, for sure, he's number 4 on my big board. Another player talk to you guys about is Darius Acuff. Darius Acuff Jr., 6'3", point guard at Arkansas, averages 17 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, 1 steal, shooting 46% from the field, 42% from 3, and 73% from the free throw line. Going into conference play, I'm interested to see if he can keep his 3-point numbers at 42% because, in my opinion, when I watch him shoot, it does not look like somebody that can shoot 42% from 3, but we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. To me, as of right now, who he plays like, in my opinion, is a poor man's Derrick Rose. That's what I see when I watch him play. That's just my personal opinion. I want to talk about his teammate, Malik Thomas. He's a 6'5 shooting guard at Arkansas. He averages 17 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.5 steals, 1 turnover. He shoots 41% from the field, 35% from 3, and 83% from the free throw line. Malik, I would like to see his numbers come up. Free throw percentage is totally fine. I would like to see his field goal and his 3-point percentage come up. Because Malik, I don't know. I like his jumper, but I don't like his jumper. I think I don't like his release point on his jumper. And I don't think I like how long it takes for him to shoot. But Malik should be starting for Arkansas. I guess I understand why he's not starting. But we'll see as going into conference play if he ends up starting. And yeah, I'm just interested just to watch him going into conference play. He'll need to put on some weight and some muscle going into the NBA, but I like him as a prospect. Another player is Killian Toure. He's a 6'3 shooting guard at Iowa State. He averages 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 turnovers, shooting 58% from the field, 41 from 3, 81 from the line. I'm extremely excited to watch him against Bennett Sturts. That's coming up here on, I think it's Saturday. Or is it Thursday? It might be Thursday. They might play tomorrow. But I'm excited to watch him play. He's done just a little bit of everything for Iowa State. So very intriguing prospect that I'm going to be very just tuned into for the rest of the year. Another player is Nate Ament. He's 6'10", power forward / small forward. He goes to University of Tennessee, averages 16.7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.5 steals. Shoots 37% from the field, 29% from 3, 81% from the free throw line. He's Nate. What I like about Nate is that he is aggressive. Very skinny, but he's very aggressive. I don't have it in front of me, but I think he averages almost 7 free throws a game, which is quite a bit for a college player. But I really want to see, going into conference play, I really just want to see his shooting numbers to improve. That's what I would like to see. Does he have it in him? We'll find out. We'll see if going into conference play, if he can find some comfort. Because Nate is one of the more polarizing prospects for me, for sure. But he has a lot of room to climb up my big board. I mean, he's in my top 12, top 13, I would say right now. But he for sure should be much higher. But yeah, I'll be watching him closely going into conference play. Next player is Koa Pete, 6'8" power forward at Arizona, averages 16 points, 5.5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 2.5 personal fouls. Shoots 56% from the field, 0% from 3, 67% from the free throw line. Koa, he had an amazing opening night game against Florida, but I'm really interested to watch him in conference play. I would like to see him get more on the glass a little bit more. I know he's playing with that big old tower down there with him, but I would like to see Koa kind of just assert himself more on the glass. I like what I've seen out of Koa. I really do. I'm just trying to figure out if I think he can be, is he somebody that I want to use as a building block in the NBA, or is he just a starter for me in the NBA? That's something that I'll have that answer for you guys probably by NCAA tournament time. Next player is Abuka Akari, 6'2", shooting guard / point guard at Stanford. He averages 21 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, shooting 44% from the field, 31% from 3, and 80% from the free throw line. He hasn't really played anybody, at least in my opinion, who they played on their schedule, just have not been that impressive. But he is handling his business. He has shown flashes of things that I really have liked from him. Conference play, I'm going to be watching very closely with him. So I'm going to pause and reserve on what I fully think about him. But that's just somebody I want to give some, talk about to you guys briefly. And then the last guy, this guy is my number one center on my big board thus far. And that's Hannes Steinbach. 6'11" center at Washington, averages 18.5 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 2.5 personal fouls, shooting 63% from the field, 67% from 3 on 1 attempt, 73.5% at the free throw line. Hannes, I talked about him to you guys during the summer. I love his touch. I love his pick and roll ability. I love how he operates around the basket. I like his stretch big potential. He's my number one center on my big board. Extremely excited to watch him in conference play and see if he can keep this momentum going into conference play. Next week, like I told you guys, we'll check in on some of our upperclassmen in college basketball. Otherwise, I'm your host, PJ, and PJ is out.